This episode of The Twisted 10 was recorded before the COVID pandemic.
Throughout time, many people have left their mark on humanity. But this week, I picked 10 people that had an impact on humanity, good and bad, that will stand the test of time in the history books. This week on The Twisted 10.
And welcome to another episode of The Twisted 10.
What is up, guys?
Hanging in there, brother. I am Adam. I am one of the hosts, but I'm not hosting tonight. Sitting across from me in the room,
Ron.
Wow.
Good way to carry the ball there, buddy. I threw you the beach ball and you didn't just catch it. You didn't knock it back or hit it around the room. You fucking pulled out a 9mm and shot it, and it fell to the ground.
Well,
Do you want to borrow my
said
hype?
Sitting across from the room, pointed to me. Therefore, I say, Ron. What else do you want me to say? I have to talk on this show?
A little bit, maybe.
Oh God, nobody told me that.
Are you hosting tonight, buddy? I know it's not me.
I am not hosting.
You're not hosting? Oh, that must mean...
It's me. It's Josh.
Yeah.
I am your host tonight.
Sweet.
Hey, and before you start, I have to say, I know obviously listeners see the topic, so they know. But while we are sitting here talking, like me and Adam, this is the most exciting part of the show for me. It's like, oh God, because we have no idea most times what this is going to be about.
Most times. What really would get Ron excited is if you say it's going to be like the top 10 political faux pas or
I don't pay attention to politics.
our pre-show, our warm-up game in here was banter back and forth on the current political climate, and it
gets us warmed up. It gets the chemistry going. It's important that early time, and what better to do that than
Gets my heart rate
politics?
up.
I will tell you, our chemistry, I think, is better than our political banter. I think the way that we all talk with each other is better than how we deal with politics, because typically, and here's how I see it, correct me if I'm wrong, Ron's more left-leaning. Josh is...
Everybody just deleted the podcast. Get rid of this libtard.
Josh is kind of middle of the road, usually maybe slightly left, but not really.
I don't know,
more
man.
middle.
I'm pretty proud of my stance. I so often sway libertarian.
Yeah?
Small government, off my shit.
Small government,
I typically
guns and weed, baby.
I typically am more right of center than left, but I am not. I voted Democrat in the past elections before. I won't name exactly which ones I voted for. Alexa just lit up when I said that. Did you see that?
Just taking some metrics, yeah.
Did you say so?
Whoa, what the fuck, man?
Dude, that's right. They're listening to you. Dude, you're going to get all kinds of like...
Holy shit.
You're going to have Fox News ads like blowing up your Facebook page now.
With the conversation that we had prior to this recording, I forgot to turn her off. It was all political, and it was some pretty damning shit that we were saying. Well, that might not be good for my old IP address.
Maybe not. Time to get a VPN, buddy.
Yes, this episode is sponsored by... no, I'm just kidding.
Fox News.
No. Oh man. But all right, so on a somber note, it is impossible to make this any kind of comical spin on it or anything, but as we're recording this, when you hear this, it'll obviously be a month old or maybe more than that, but we just heard the tragic news of the death of infamous 41-year-old Kobe Bryant and his daughter. So our prayers and thoughts and love and support and whatever go out to the family of those affected, and by all the fans and support groups that are out there that really were touched by Kobe. So, you know, I mean, it's tough. Is Ron? I think it's Ron crying.
No, just the way you worded that.
Touched by Kobe.
Yeah, the way you worded that. You know what? At least for the people who are listening to this, it's probably maybe still a little too soon, but the fact that it happened like 5 hours ago right now, glad this isn't live, that I just kind of...
That's a good point. That's a good point. Sorry, poor choice in wording, but you know the intent was there to show some sympathy.
It would have been way more funny if Jared from Subway had died and you had said...
Wow. touched by Jared.
All those touched by Jared.
We're going to have to be careful about that, though, because we are going to be live soon.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually,
once we get our cameras and stuff set up.
What's it on Tweaker? What's it called?
No. It's sponsored. Our streaming service that we're going to be using is Michael J. Fox's service. It's called Twitch.
Oh man!
Wow!
What?
Come on!
God, we just lost.
I am not the first person that's ever thought about that joke. I can't be.
And I'm sure whoever that pissed off would love to stop the show, but their hand's shaking so much they can't push the button.
Both of you
pile it
guys.
on.
We're
Both
setting
of
up.
you
Just
guys.
pile it on.
Damn.
Josh's top 10 is going to be the top 10 most insensitive things ever said on a podcast. Number 1 and number 2, we just did.
Yeah. So number 3.
Damn it, man.
Man. Then we've got I actually have a little bit. I haven't even told you guys this yet. Tall Trey wants to come on the show here in a few weeks.
Hell yes.
Yep, he's well, record date and release date are different, but yeah, here in a couple of weeks he wants to come in. He's got a list. Unfortunately, I do know what his topic's going to be, but knowing it will not give me any advantage whatsoever on his twist.
Okay.
So his
Interesting.
Tall Trey is a, for those who might just be tuning in for the first time,
call.
Tall Trey is a comedian friend of ours. He's I guess you're never a former Marine, but he's a Marine, no longer in active duty, but he's a Marine. He used to do the dog training. There's a way fancier title that I'm coming up with here.
EOD with dog. He was
EOD,
he was the tip of the spear for the Marines. Actually, the only person farther ahead of his team when they marched was his dog. It was the dog, and then him, and then the infantry.
That's amazing.
Have I met him before?
He's 6'7", tells jokes all the time.
Was he at your bachelor party, Adam? Was it that there was a really tall person there?
Let's see.
I don't,
I
And
don't
at
think Trey was there.
And what about Abby's birthday party? The
no,
same
definitely
guy.
he definitely
there.
wasn't here for
Okay,
that.
now that I have it, because there's a really tall friend of you guys.
I don't know. I'm
Super
short, so
tall.
everybody's tall in my eyes.
No, like super tall.
You're not that short.
No, I am the definition of average height. 5'8", boom, or 5'9".
But he walks with a 2 footprints and a line in the sand. So Josh might be 5'8" average in that area, but he makes up for it in others. Or so I've heard. At
No,
least we know it's potent because there's 2 babies down, buddy.
That's
You got
true.
yeah,
Dude, I gotta cut them off at the source now.
Yeah, you do. Needle.
Yeah,
I'm ashamed to say we haven't made it over there. Granted, we've all been through some sicknesses lately, so colds, and you guys had a bout of the flu or some shit last weekend.
Dude, last weekend was nuts. We did not catch it in our house, fortunately, but my brother-in-law and his wife and their 3 kids all got flu B and bronchitis.
Damn.
All of them.
You really fucked me up there. You said your brother-in-law and his wife, so I immediately thought Dan and Steph.
Of course, naturally. Yeah,
and their
no,
3
Margaret's-
kids. I'm like, what? They're dogs? What? They caught the flu? How'd that
dog
happen?
flu, it's the worst.
Oh.
No, it's so there's been a lot of very, very sick people at arm's length.
How's the baby doing? How's everything going sleep wise? And
You know, they say it's impossible to spoil a newborn, and it's true. It's really you can't because they don't have any concept of what's going on around them.
right, yeah.
So they're just kind of there. They do. One thing that I do know is that my son does not like to be wet
Really?
at all.
Oh, that's a pain in the butt. 'Cause
Right.
It's a second pee cry.
So check this out. This is my life. This is Margaret's life. He gets hungry, so he eats. Babies, they have what's called the gastrointestinal reflex. If they eat, they shit. It's immediate. It's not like us as adults where it's separated. So,
Wait, it's separated? Not for me.
Adam has to eat on the toilet.
Hey, that's fair. That's
Done it
fair.
before, dude. Not proud of it, but
Oh,
I've done it before.
God, for real?
I take some marathon shits, buddy.
I guess so.
I'm in there for a while.
But so he'll eat, and then he'll need to be changed. But then when he's changed, he gets cold, so he wakes up, and then he wants to eat. But then he shits.
It's a vicious cycle.
Right. So Margaret is just stuck in this loop of like he wants to eat, and then he wants to be changed, but then he wants to eat again.
Oh, I saw that movie,
my
Groundhog
God.
Day.
And it's just, I mean, you know, I love him, but the 3 hours before recording, he screamed.
Oh,
The whole
that's sad.
time.
Is he colicky at all? Does he need constant attention
So
when he's awake? I mean,
I recently learned this because yes, he is colicky.
oh,
The
that
only
sucks.
thing it takes to be defined as colicky is you cry or the child cries 3 or more hours a day. That's it.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of kids.
It
then.
is a lot of
crying.
It's a lot of crying, but it's also it's most.
That's most
I don't
kids.
know. Both
I
of my
would- I would
kids then
agree.
were colicky for a while, but
So to me, true colicky kids are ones that if they are not in contact with the mother, usually it's the mother. If they're not in contact with her, either feeding, nurturing, just in presence of, then they are screaming, and there's no middle grounds. It's crying or with mother or sleeping. That's about it.
yeah, I can get him to calm down sometimes. But yeah, I mean, we've got some other stuff. He throws up every time he eats. He's 4 weeks old now.
Josh, I think I know the fix for that. I mean, I've known you now since 2007, I believe.
2007,
So
yeah.
13 years. No. Is that right? Yeah, 13 years. 14, whatever it is.
January 19th of 2007. And that's my start date on that contract.
Almost exactly. 17 or 13 years. I know your family. I know your habits. All that you need to do is mix like a beer pong event in your child's daily routine, and those colicky issues are gone. Or maybe some good liquor or something, and voila. Joke fell flattered, and I thought it would, but okay.
Bump. He's like, if you don't get that joke, you're not an alcoholic.
I got it.
Good one, boss.
That's a good one, boss. Nice.
But yeah, so it's I don't have a good way to pivot into my topic, but
Pivot.
No,
you guys,
Pivot.
no.
Come on,
Very
what's it
good.
from?
Jaws.
Friends.
No, friend. Yes, he got the
Oh.
reference. Josh got the reference. Yes,
I'll play you a Jaws clip.
From Pivot. PIV.
Well, it sounds like he's saying like Pippet is calling for his dog. I'll find it.
No.
So what you're saying is, if I watch a movie, misinterpret a quote, then it fits
Perfectly.
the actual reference.
Because the way it was actually more
Cool.
the inflection and the way he said it and the timing of it
Pivot?
more than the word. He
Pivot.
could have been saying asshole and it still would have worked.
Well, I was saying it as Ross was moving the couch up up or down the stairs, whichever way they were going. He was yelling "pivot."
Well, it
I'm
has
not.
that
I'm not
does.
a friends obsessed person like the rest of you, my
Dude,
America.
You know, all right. One
God,
more
so-
more piece before I tear into this. But I was never a fan of Friends until I was in my late 20s, and I watched.
Ideal, yeah.
And I never watched it before then. It wasn't. I guess I shouldn't say I wasn't a fan. I never sat down to watch it. I never gave it the time, and it was. I don't know. It wasn't around, but something that Margaret watched before it went off Netflix every night to go to bed. She would just put it on, fall asleep to it. So
As do millions of Americans, which is why people pay Prime for the rights to air that.
Yeah, 100-something million, 120 million HBO's paying. They'll pay for it now.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's painful to watch all of it. They're all my friends. I know who all, and I know that's what they were going for. That was the point. But I'm just like, okay, that's Connor. Okay, that's Trey. Okay, that's fun. And I, without a doubt, am Chandler.
Okay, I can see that. Who would you put me at? I'll put me at probably a Ross mixed with a little Dodo Joey. So I think where I would probably
I'd put
me.
you more at Ross. I mean,
Yeah, you're way too smart
not-
to be Joey.
You're not an archaeologist, but
I was going for Joey for my good looks and my ripped abs.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Ross nailed Jennifer Aniston.
I mean, that's a good point.
He's doing okay.
Yeah, he's all right. Yeah. I'm more like Phoebe, right?
What would we put Ron as? If we were friends
You would be
aligning.
Who is
I feel more like
who
I'm a
is
Chandler.
Ross's
Ron would probably be more like a
intellectual the guy he constantly argues with, the other professor that he gets at odds with, like the second half of the show. It's always like Steinman or something. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about. I would either put Ron as probably a little bit of a Chandler as well, or the no soup for you guy.
The soup
other.
Nazi?
Yeah, soup Nazi.
No soup for you 1 year. See, I was more of a Seinfeld guy than I like Friends a lot. I know all the episodes except for apparently
better.
the pivot part. But I do. No, I really enjoy Friends. I've watched it a million times. It's on every day, every channel, at every time slot. And but I've always been more of a Seinfeld guy. Over Friends. I like it better. I like them both. They're both fantastic shows. They were the two best shows on television at the time when they were on together.
I get the popularity of Seinfeld, but I'll tell you what, and I get the comedy, it's really good. I get the story is not about anything.
It's a
and that's
very
what makes
intelligent humor,
it good.
definitely.
I didn't like
Just because you enjoy it doesn't make it intelligent humor.
It is intelligent humor.
I didn't like the arrogance of Jerry Seinfeld in post show interviews about his show, especially the tip of the spear of that point is when he went on what's the old guy that does the radio style talk show? Help me out. Larry King. When he went on Larry King, and Larry King didn't really know what Seinfeld was. He wasn't a fan. He was just talking to him about
Oh
it.
yeah, he was. Seinfeld was very confused by like, "Don't you know me? I'm the best." Yeah, I remember that interview was horrible.
Larry
Seinfeld
King
was
mentioned
such a pompous.
He was a complete arrogant
He's
ass.
still
And
a pompous.
I get it. The onus is on Larry King for not knowing as much as he should have. I get that.
Yeah,
I good. Call him out, but don't be a complete asshole about it. Because Larry King simply said something about, now that the show's been canceled, what are you doing with your life? And he's like,
Canceled.
canceled? Fuck you. We're
Yeah.
not canceled. That was the number one show. We went out on the top, baby.
It was a bad interviewer. It was a bad
Yeah, it was a
interviewee.
bad situation.
It was just bad on both ends. Like Larry King was losing his touch clearly. His staff was losing
Yes.
their touch, or he wasn't reading his notes. And it would be like if you try to get Donald Trump to prepare for something. I'm not reading this. Better write it down on a napkin, or I'm not going to read it. If it doesn't fit on a cocktail napkin, I'm not reading that much. I think that's where Larry King was apparently at that point. Because that was a horrible interview, but Seinfeld did not handle it well. He should have been more respectful for one of the greatest ever, and realize, okay, this guy's not on his game. Let me just have some fun with it instead of being a pompous asshole.
You see what Ron did there? He threw in a neg towards Trump.
I
Yeah.
did.
See that?
Yeah,
You
just
see
Stop
that
it.
there?
Hey, he
how about
already
this-
said
how
I'm
about this one?
liberal.
Here's I got.
He called me a libtard.
I got
No,
one
he
for
did
you. I got one for you.
not. Okay.
I was 6 when that interview happened.
Okay.
Ooh,
Nice.
Yeah. That's about right. So speaking of
I
dying,
mean, I'm still
how about
in
that Kobe guy?
Still in my 30s, but that was still a long ass time
you're-
ago.
All right,
You're exactly 31.
I'm 31, yeah.
31. Yeah. All right. God, we're getting old, Ron.
God, I am old. I was just like during this, like we were talking, I had this weird ass pain. Like I literally thought we were gonna have to stop the show for a second. I was almost said, guys, I need like a minute. Something's going on here, and then it kind of like went away.
Did you
I don't
fart?
know what was. No, it was
On
like
the-
some weird.
on
It
the
was
inside.
muscular. It was like some weird muscular pain. I don't know what. It was like a cramp in my stomach muscle if I had any.
Ron told me something the other day. It really makes me. I associated to it too. When you're the age Ron and I are, you don't complain about the gray hairs you've got. You just are happy that they're still there. And
Yeah,
that's,
this is true. Although I don't remember saying this to you. I think you're just making that up.
and
for
just
the
roll
show.
with it. It's
Smoke
part of
and
the
mirrors,
show. It's
right?
part of the show
Yes,
stuff here, buddy.
I do
Come on.
remember saying that to you.
I got to edit that out.
I actually, so I have found a few of my first grays. They're showing up in my beard. I got a few of them. Yeah,
Congratulations.
That's just because you're going down on some crannies somewhere, man. That's all.
yeah, they're just getting stuck.
Dude, the next 10 years, it's going to be all about... You don't really look like you have near as much as I do, Adam.
Oh, gray? Yeah,
Yeah.
buddy. I'll take the headphones
Hey,
off here.
keep your
It's
pants
Oh,
It's
I
hard
see
to
it. I see. I was going to say, let's see how your balls look. Do you have gray on your balls, too?
Yes, you have to look, but I'm trying to think of something
See-
homosexual to say there, buddy.
Well, me just looking at your balls is homosexual
No, it's
enough.
not. I'd look. If you took your pants off, I'm not attracted to you, but I would fucking look.
Dude, you are attracted. Don't be a liar.
I mean,
Prove it. Take them off. Let's go.
I'm not gonna
God,
lie.
no. Who wants to see that? Yes.
If anybody's balls come out near me, I'm going to at least glance.
Is that what's going to happen?
It's just
That was a good pull.
It can't be helped. If someone stands up too quick, okay, almost all adults do it. If someone stands up, people look at their crotch.
Yeah, if you're sitting down because it's eye level.
That's what I'm saying. But it's like if someone takes their pants
Yeah.
off in my presence, I don't care how old they are. I don't care how physically attractive they are. I'm just gonna look.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
It's balls.
But
fuck.
I don't want to see their balls. I just want to see how big their dick is.
It's fair. That's honesty, though. That's
Honestly,
okay.
I'm going to be looking to see, like, what are you working with there? Like, yeah, that's my boy. That's what's up. Or,
What you
wow,
working with?
good thing you're married.
Throw the thing down,
whatever
flip
it
it in
might be,
reverse.
you know?
Man, I don't know how to rope that back. I don't have one for that.
I like the word rope.
I got nothing for that one.
So the
Yeah.
Twisted 10.
Yeah, so the twisted.
So, the list.
You-
Speaking of 10 inches,
you
we do a
guys-
show with 10 and I don't know.
See, I mean, are you guys ready though?
Yeah,
I'm
let's do it, buddy.
really
Cool.
ready.
So my list that I have brought for you guys. Oh, I guess let me run through this. So every week, right now, it's been us for this reboot. Starting soon. Well, I was talking about Trey. So starting soon, we'll have us or a guest host come into the show, and they will bring a list of 10 things. It could be a top 10 list of whatever they want. They could be a bottom 10 list of whatever they want. It doesn't matter. It changes every week. It's up to the host. We've had everywhere from very prominent comedians come in and do their own list, all the way up to LGBTQ.
LGBTQI now.
QI,
activist.
there we go. Activist.
LGBTQ And yeah.
I say I want to represent them all correctly. I don't want to sound insensitive. I just can't.
They almost have enough letters in it, and this is not an insensitive joke. Let me preface that ahead of time. But they almost have enough letters where they could make a real word out of the acronym. I mean, they're almost there. You get like 2 or 3 more letters, and
anagram
you got something.
the acronym and make it something easier to throw out there. So bring in this list, and it's called the Twisted 10 because either the list is just unique and it changes every week, or maybe there's something that's made up. As an example, if you go back a few episodes, I did a list, top 10 civilizations that mysteriously vanished. One of the items in that list is made up. There's a made up civilization in that list.
He's building it up. He's building it up, Ron. You know there's going to be something twisted in this list.
He's so good at this too. Like I can never guess. Any of the ones he's done stuff like this on, like the older episodes I go back and listen to. Obviously I didn't participate. You always, like, I give up. Yes. I'm just not even going to do, you know what, this time if you have something like that, I'm literally going to just pick a number out of my ass and say number 7, or some shit like that.
Josh is like, damn it, I got to change it.
I'm just going to pick it right now. It's number 4. Okay, let's go. I'm sticking with that one.
Sticking with number 4?
I'm sticking with number 4. Don't change the order just to mess me with me.
No, that's fine.
Fair.
So for my list, I don't have a twist.
Oh.
It's not... I mean, thank you for all of
noise. That's awesome.
So I just brought a list. This week, I'm going to be discussing 10 of history's most impactful people.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, fun.
Worldwide or American?
Worldwide.
Oh, okay.
And there are some caveats to that. And
caveat. You said that very rich.
And I will. That's because I am very rich.
His pinky was up, John.
Yeah.
Or you didn't see his pinky.
Caveats.
But there are some caveats to that, and I will address them because there are some of these. Whatever. I'll get into it. So you guys ready?
Yeah, dude.
I'm ready, dude. I'm excited.
Cool. Number 10. We're gonna kick it off with Sir Isaac Newton.
Ah, okay.
Everyone's familiar. There were some things that he did though that I didn't know. He was a mathematician, which we know. He was a physicist, an astronomer, a theologian, an author, and it's a title that doesn't exist anymore, a natural philosopher. Where I guess I shouldn't say it doesn't exist anymore. People used it to describe somebody who tried to apply the sciences to the mysteries which had up until that point been defined by religion.
You added theologian in there. I did not know that.
What? I'm sorry I have to be stupid. I don't know what that is.
Theology, religious studies.
Oh, okay. Understood.
So he took his study of advanced mathematics and his study of prominent world religions at the time, and he tried to use science to fill in some of the blanks that had otherwise been filled in by religion. And so with that, he did a few things. One, he defined calculus, of course. You need me to get closer?
No, you're fine.
I'm getting a little quiet.
No, I'm bringing up your highs.
Gotcha. I'm basically laying down at this point. So
with his dick out, which is weird.
Yeah,
I didn't say you did that. I was trying to say weird, and you made the weed symbol, so I said which is weed. Wait, I meant to say which is weird.
Well, you said you're bringing up his highs. I'm like.
There was a lot of pot reference in that. A couple of
Sorry, look, we're interrupting him. This show's going to take 5 hours.
You're good. No, it's fine. That's a good episode. So of course we all know he defined the laws of motion. He created a math system. It was called the gravitational, and I should have written it down. I don't know why I didn't. The gravitational something. It was a theory that had gravity at the center of universal mechanics. He defined classical mechanics of the universe. His gravitational theory was later supplanted by quantum theory. So once we had the theory of relativity and quantum theory, it expanded upon his theory that all things in the universe were attracted by gravity, which is true, but it's not the full picture. So it was just later expanded upon once we had general relativity and we had quantum mechanics to explain those things better. But him and another mathematician, they defined calculus. They built the first practical telescope, which I did not know that. He did not build the first telescope, but the first one that was actually useful. And this was the coolest thing about him. He used calculus and he used his research, and he had the first theoretical equation to prove the speed of sound.
Really?
Yeah, so back in the 1600s.
I guess that's fluid dynamics and fluid motion at that point, based on how sound travels through mediums. So that would make sense.
So I don't know how close he got it, but apparently he got to that level with his calculus.
Damn.
So
That's impressive.
yeah.
Did you know? This is something based on Newton's studies. Sound travels at different speeds through different mediums. Did you know that?
I did.
All right, Ron, let's see if you get this. What medium does sound travel fastest through? Air, liquid, or solid? Or gas, liquid, or solid, I guess. Which does it travel fastest at?
Gas.
Okay. All right. No, wrong.
Okay, yeah, no.
So in
Moron.
gas or in air, sound travels at about 768 miles per hour. All right, so pretty goddamn fast. Through liquid, I don't know what that is, and through solid, I don't know what the speeds are. Sound travels far faster through a solid material than it does through anything else, which is really interesting. Sonar pings, that's why they're so effective underwater, is because they're traveling through a liquid. It's not really a solid at that point, but it's a much more viscous medium to be able to travel through. It's pretty cool.
Oh, interesting. I would have never guessed that. Clearly.
I'll give you a hint. Can you hear a train coming at you? Let's imagine you're in the desert and you know trains are coming, but you don't see it yet. Can you hear a train coming better just by standing and listening for it, or by putting your ear down to the railroad tracks? Remember the old-timey thing that you can hear it way further away?
Yeah.
That's because the vibrations are coming through the solids.
I lived right next to railroad tracks for a long time, and we used to do shit like that. We're like, oh, let's listen.
There you go.
Feel the vibration, stuff like that.
Did you ever get run over?
Couple times.
Makes sense.
Just
That
a little
explains your face.
bit.
Damn.
Whoa! Ouch! Can I get some ointment cream for that burn?
So that's Sir Isaac Newton. We're going to kick off the list.
All
Gave
right.
us a better fundamental understanding of our universe. To that same end, number 9, Galileo.
Galileo, Figaro.
Come on, you knew that.
I'm just a poor boy, nobody
waiting
loves
for
me.
it. I paused knowing it was coming.
Okay, enough of that.
All right, so I wrote his full name down because I've never heard his full name before. Galileo de Vincenzo Bonalti de Galilei.
It's not Galileo Figaro? Oh, sorry.
Galileo Galilei. Yes.
Awesome.
So he's actually more reputed for his studies of speed, velocity, gravity, free fall, principle of relativity, inertia, projectile motion, and applied sciences of all of those above. I pulled
Wow.
that's a list. I pulled that straight from Wikipedia. But basically, so of course, he gave us the first defined, both observationally and mathematically defined, heliocentric definition of the solar system. But that really wasn't his greatest contribution to the world. It was his most controversial. But I just hit him on Wikipedia. Next time you're falling down a Wikipedia hole. He did so much for applied sciences in his day beyond just that. I kind of said something earlier that I learned something completely new, which I had never heard of before. It was reading about Galileo. So, of course, he brought us the heliocentric model, sun being at the center of the solar system. And this was in contrast to the geocentric model, which, of course, put the Earth at the center of the universe. Did you know that there was a more prevalent third model in that time period?
More prevalent than geocentric or heliocentric. So geocentric wasn't even a thing until it was theorized.
Well,
And then heliocentric, there's another one that was more.
yeah, I've never heard of this model before.
Wait. Let me see if I can think, because I've done a lot of research into these conspiracy theories which tie into those different models. And I might actually know this. What were some of the other studies that he did? You said propulsion.
He studied speed, velocity, gravity, free fall, the principle of relativity, inertia.
Inertia. Okay. So I don't know the terminology for it, but it's an ever accelerating plane to equate to gravity. So for example, let's say there was no gravity. Let's say you're in space where there's no gravitational pull being pushed on you by anything. If you were to suddenly take this table in front of us and accelerate it at 1g, so that is constant acceleration enough to make the downforce on the table be 1g, that would be a terminology for gravity that is influenced on the surface that you're pushing forward with its inertia. So the only problem with that is it would only take like 100 years before you would reach beyond speeds of light, because you can't continuously have a 1g increase in speed to make the difference for the law of gravity. So is that anything to do with it?
None at all.
Damn it.
Interesting.
But good guess.
But not at all. It was actually something called the tachonic orbit of the universe. I'd never heard this before. So it was a sort of combined medium between the two, geocentric and heliocentric. So it doesn't do a lot of good to show a picture. I'll show you guys during the break. Can't really show it, but it was that there are certain solar bodies that orbit the Earth.
Solar bodies.
And there are certain solar bodies that orbit the sun. So not in the we have a moon and everything else orbits the sun. It was that some things orbit Earth, some things orbit the sun. There wasn't really, they didn't
that's interesting.
define which was which, but there was apparently at that point a very prevalent belief that it was both. And then there was an outside field of stars, which were just beacons of light in the cosmos that just orbited around us.
Huh, really?
Yep. So like I said, I've got a picture of the model I can show you guys when we take a break.
Oh, it's intertwined with each other. Okay.
Yeah, they
I was picturing in my head like two separate hemispheres of orbits.
No. So it's, it's the easiest way to use this picture as an analogy. It compensates for the moon orbiting the Earth, but then it also includes other things. But then,
what other things though?
All the other bodies.
Planets, other stars, things like
satellites,
that.
Gotcha. Quote unquote satellites.
So yeah, the tachonic orbit. So not only was the heliocentric model that he provided flying in the face of the religious organizations of the day, saying that we are the center of the universe on Earth, it was also flying in the face of just the common knowledge, the common person to say nothing orbits us except that one rock. It was also flying in the face of just common wisdom.
And wouldn't you know they're all wrong, because it's all just a projection by NASA. Dodos.
I know, right?
Sheep.
And Disney art.
And
Disney artists.
Yes.
Disney artist.
For those of you not getting the reference, listen to the Twisted 10 episode where we had flat earthers come in and tell us about science, because that was a great time.
I couldn't be here. I'm not on those recordings because I knew that I could not contain myself. I was invited and I declined.
There.
No.
So it was me, Tach, and Jay?
And Jay, yeah. I wasn't officially part of the show yet, but you had invited me to come on because I had been kind of showing up because I was doing the website and stuff back at that point. And
Oh, yeah, website. Oh, you got to talk about that.
It's fine. We don't need a website to succeed.
Said no successful person ever.
Yeah, we do need to publish shows eventually, though.
That's Facebook. We got Facebook. Internet is a platform, not internet is a collection of websites.
Roger that.
That's it.
I think that was a famous quote, but I don't.
No, it's not. That's just. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but there's a really big thing right now where several businesses are starting to kind of band themselves together against both Facebook and Google because their policies and their approaches are creating internet as a platform. So people can now go to Facebook and get access to media and their friends and pictures and celebrities and everything.
So it's almost like a search engine.
Right. So it's the internet as a platform versus internet as a service.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we can go into it offline, but
okay.
like they just, at this point, they shut down College Humor. College Humor's done.
I saw that. I was very sad about that.
Yeah. They, okay, I'll touch on it. Touch on it a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Touch on it, buddy.
Facebook falsified all of their video view numbers.
Oh, yeah. I had heard about this.
And then, once they stopped advertising on other platforms, dropped their numbers to the real numbers, and they were tanking. They were not getting the views that Facebook told them they were getting, and they shut down all of their sites, portals. They were investing all of their money into Facebook as their wildly successful platform.
Because Facebook was lying their butt off to them. Yeah, dude, Facebook is...
Really?
Facebook's dirty pool, bro. Zuckerberg is a bitch.
Yeah, it's...
Let me turn off Alexa when you say that. Hang on a minute.
So just one of many. College Humor is one that's been around for a long time. Anyways, yeah, so that's...
Interesting.
Well, won't we get to internet stuff when you get to Al Gore on your list?
Yeah, we'll touch on that.
Al Gore, the top 10 influential person. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So, and anyways, we deviated pretty hard. So, Galileo did a lot of cool stuff.
I want to do it.
I want to sing it again.
do it.
All right, guys, one more time. Do it.
Galileo, Figaro.
But if you go,
I am just a poor boy, nobody
poor
loves
family.
me. Oh, you fucked it up, dude. God, that's okay. It needed to be because it needed to end. Go ahead,
good
Josh.
call.
So, number 8, Albert Einstein.
Yes.
Nice.
My boy.
Yep. So, of course, I kind of mentioned this. We owe him the modern theory of general relativity.
Cosmic considerations for the theory of relativity, his paper.
Yeah.
Spooky
Good
actions
job.
at a distance.
Nice.
And quantum theory and the pieces that come from that.
That's the spooky actions at a distance. That's quantum entangled. That's my favorite theory of Einstein's ever.
The entanglement piece.
Yeah.
I really,
about that,
I really
like-
like his bagels too.
Einstein bagels? Wait. There we go.
Oh, shameless plug. Not really shameless, but
So he was a Nobel Prize winner in physics for his contributions to theoretical physics, and especially for his discovery of the law of photoelectric effect. So, a pinnacle part of quantum theory. That's a whole crazy rabbit hole I can't get into. I am not smart enough.
There was some new quantum theory that I saw, or quantum principle that I saw. Oh, I saw a video on it. It's not entanglement, but it's a force of reaction that has to do with cold, cold, irrelevant. I can't remember it, so it's pointless. I'll cut that out.
Cool.
so you don't sound like a bumbling
Yeah,
fool.
I forgot.
Cool something.
I'll remember it in
So-
a minute.
So, of course, we owe him for further progressing our understanding of the universe, and it
Big
opened
time.
up whole new fields of research in the broad field of physics off of just his math, and it allowed us, based on what he discovered and the groundwork that he laid down, to mathematically prove quantum phenomenon, which one we didn't even know were happening, but then we not only found them, but we measured them and proved them, and then later developed experiments to corroborate that, to provide us observational proof as well as mathematical proof.
I.e. LIGO.
LIGO. Yep.
Yes. You know what LIGO is?
Sounds familiar, but no.
It's the competitive brand to Legos. Not nearly as popular,
yeah.
but
it's probably the ones I got as a kid. But go ahead. Are those the bigger ones?
oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
that's the ones
that you got in the cheap box.
the special. That's for the special. That's yours, I guess.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that
All
came
right.
with the box.
No, LIGO, and I don't remember the acronym, but it's LIGO is the observational study of the effects of black holes
Black
in the
holes,
universe,
okay.
and the collision effect that happened recently that was monitored and recorded to show that space-time is affected even across vast distances by the effects of black holes. It was really cool. If you think about it as like this. All right, so I'm going to take a little piece of paper in studio, Ron. If you had, if a black hole was the effects of a black hole, the gravitational wave was coming at us, and we had you here and me down here, and we had a laser that we were pointing between the two of us. The black hole, when it comes through, it doesn't exactly come through straight. So it'll come through and it'll create this wave effect that will literally bend the light and change the timing of the different optic sensors at both sides.
Yes.
You and I won't perceive it individually. Like we won't go, whoa, that was kind of fun. We won't know that there's a wave that just came through us. But the scientific instruments that are there proves that you and I are affected at each end of this laser, or each end of this scientific test, because space around us is bending. Think about that for a minute. Everything around you, space and time around you right now are being bent by something that happened 400,000 light years away and 400,000 years ago or a million years ago or whatever. It's amazing to think about that kind of stuff. But it's been proven true. Until recently, it was only a theory. Now it is science.
So I recognize him for his contributions that we just went into, but in researching Einstein a little bit, I learned some things about him that I didn't know. If you guys didn't know, he's a German immigrant.
Yep.
Yes.
So he came over. So he
Because the Nazis hated him.
there is an argument that he is the reason for the Manhattan Project.
Huh, interesting.
Yep. So he
Him and Werner von Braun and a few, there's well, that's more rocket science, but yeah.
At the beginning, he wrote a letter to President Roosevelt and used his ties to the Belgian royal family to secure a meeting with the president.
Yeah,
and he said this. He said something on his deathbed to a colleague of his, Linus Pauling.
He said, "More morphine, please." Sorry.
He said, "I made one great mistake in my life."
Wait. Do I know what it is? No, go ahead. I probably don't.
I mean, you stopped it. Take a guess.
Well, I was going to say he always said the biggest blunder of his life was this theory of the cosmological constant.
No,
he said that was the greatest blunder of my life. That was a quote, but not at his deathbed.
Oh, I didn't come across that one. I don't know what that one is.
Well, it's a theory of the expanding universe, and that it's expanding at the same pace, and that pace is not either increasing or decreasing. It's just the same. And in part of his theories, in that, cosmological considerations for the theory of relativity, he used part of that and said that was the one part of it that I was completely wrong. Now all of a sudden I'm hearing that maybe he wasn't wrong. But anyway, I got off. Go ahead.
No, so he said, "I made one great mistake in my life when I signed the letter to President Roosevelt recommending the atom bombs be made. But there was some justification, the danger that the Germans would make them first." So that is on his deathbed, his greatest achievement, his research, or the scientists and engineers that went into making the atomic bomb. He said he wrote that letter to President Roosevelt. He took personal accountability for the creation of the atomic bomb and regretted it.
Man, that's a heavy burden. I mean,
so if he didn't, somebody would have.
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
And that's the
Germans
thing.
would have it first. Inevitability is going to lead to scientific discovery of something that like the atomic fusion or fission, really, either one. It's going to lead to that. I mean, the way that our scientists are progressing is unmistakably pointed towards that direction. So yeah,
absolutely.
The other race. Yeah, the other interesting part is wasn't the Manhattan Project also tied to the disappearing ship out of one of the seas in Virginia, or out of one of the bays in Virginia?
I know very little about the Manhattan Project.
What do you know about
bombs.
it? I don't know anything about the Manhattan Project. If you could give me
the core at the core of it was the search for the atomic bomb.
Okay, that's right.
For nuclear fission.
Nuclear vessels.
So that's at its core, but there's also a lot of other controversy around. I might be confusing a project that happened around the same time, but it had to do with transparency or invisibility and teleportation, and they allegedly transported a ship from one bay hundreds of miles away to another bay and then back, and it killed a bunch of people. It fused a bunch of people into the boat, and whatever.
This didn't actually happen, or did people actually say this happened, or it's just like
so here's the thing:
a story.
In theory, Ron, it's possible. So that, I mean, technically it is a possibility. Just the science behind it is a little bit too complex, I think, for mankind to have done when they said they did it. But it's possible.
But people were trying to actually do this.
Absolutely.
Probably.
In fact, I think it was the Chinese, maybe the Japanese. I don't remember who, but they just teleported. Allegedly, it's not been peer reviewed, but teleported a single atom from one place to another.
Oh, you're talking about entanglement.
So is it?
It was China that said they did it.
It was entangled, or was it? Was it actually teleported?
It was through entanglement. They teleported the positively charged proton, is the claim, to their space station before it destabilized and fell out of space.
Really?
Do they transport it through like a concept of kind of like a little mini wormhole, or are they transporting it like Star Trek, where they're taking it apart and then reparticalizing
Here
it
is
somewhere?
the 2-sentence explanation for how how it worked. Quantum entanglement, if you narrow it all the way down, it says that there are two molecules that can be any distance in the universe that are entangled, and if one is positive, the other one can become negative, or if one becomes positive, the other becomes positive. Proton, neutron, as a very simple example. There's an immense amount of information that goes into that, but their claim is that they positively charged a proton. I guess they created a proton that was entangled with a proton on their space station.
Interesting.
As I understood it. I could be completely off base, but...
Is this anything to do with like string theory?
No.
Or is that completely different? I don't even know what string theory is, except that Sheldon spent most of his time on Big Bang doing that before he did dark matter.
So Philadelphia experiment is what I'm confusing.
Yes, that's Philadelphia experiment. Okay, that's, all right, I remember the movie.
Quantum entanglement, Josh is, for the most part, spot on, accurate with that.
Okay, interesting.
It's the interesting part is that irrelevant of distance, that those two items are tied together. That what happens to one will equally and opposite happen to the other, no matter the distance. Which is, if you think about it, it defeats a bunch of the laws of conservation of energy. It's not supposed to work. So if you and I were playing the game Mirror, where I stand up and I move my hand and you move your hand at the same time, and we're supposed to be looking at each other like we're in a mirror. Imagine doing that, but across the fucking solar system. You whatever I would do, assuming you could see me, whatever I would do, you would do, but the distance would mean that you shouldn't be able to see me for between 8 minutes and 2 hours, depending on where you are in the solar system. So it defies the laws of energy and light, the speed of light. It shouldn't happen, but it does. String theory. So quantum is on the tiny scale. Quantum is, think, really, really small.
Yeah.
String is also the same way. String theory is just a theory that everything in the universe is founded by these vibrations of like little strings. It's really hard to wrap our heads around. It's the less popular of the theories to explain the universe, but it's definitely still out there. And so there's some way smarter people than us that are going, these fucking idiots are so butchering.
These fucking guys.
They might not be. They might be. Hey, these are decently.
Look at these idiots. They did it right.
Yeah, these idiots actually got this crap right.
Yeah, you know what they're doing? They're real nerds. They're going, well, they must have big dicks or something. That's
All right.
no.
Just because we have big dicks, does that mean we can't talk about science? I mean,
Science.
proof that in this room you can have big dicks and talk about science.
Not intelligibly.
No, mine's turtling back in right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm so fat.
Retreat.
Exactly.
I'm so fat. I have to look for it every time just to pee.
So, all right. I'm gonna bring it way back down out of the universe, and take it to number 7.
Oh, yeah.
I know. It's in the back of my brain
It's tough not
every
to.
time.
Yeah.
Even when I'm the one saying the number.
Yep.
Okay. Number 7, Christopher Columbus.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm going to upfront say one thing.
This
He
is gonna
was
be controversial.
not the first person from Europe or other Eastern continents to come to the Americas.
What you mean? I thought this place was vacant of every soul. There's nobody that lived here.
Yeah, I don't. But I give him the credit because the credit is largely behind his name for the European Western expansion.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
That's fair.
So the Chinese we have found Chinese ships that were older. We have found Viking ships that were older than when Columbus and his ships came across. So because of that, he gets, I say he was very impactful on history because he is the one who went back to the Queen of Spain and said, look, there are islands full of gold and they're just giving it to us. Riches beyond imagining.
So you're citing him here for his influence, which really led
Right.
to the explosion of modernization or, I guess, migration to the Americas.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That makes sense because otherwise he's a complete dick.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, father of the modern Western slave trade.
Yeah.
He tortured people. His diaries are awful. He was a evil person to people he didn't like.
Yeah. Here's some blankets that we bring from Spain. They've got smallpox, but here you go.
Well, that wasn't Columbus. That came later. But
I don't know the rest of your list, but I could imagine there could be on this list some other very evil people.
Absolutely.
That doesn't mean, that they
$1
weren't
million.
$100
Exactly.
million, but that doesn't mean that they weren't extremely influential for history. So it's fair that just because he's an ass that he can be on it.
It's a little toe in the water for how bad. I mean, how impactful some of these people get.
Number 2, Hitler. Just kidding.
Anyways,
I'm still waiting for Al Gore, but okay.
Al Gore. So yeah, it's like I said, it's on his name, his reputation, because he did start that explosive migration.
That's fair.
west.
It's sad, though, for the descendants of Christopher Columbus that that is accurate. How you portrayed it is 100% accurate. He was the one who really influenced it. But it is sad that we always have to give him that little justification now. More now, you know what? More now in like the 2010s and 2020s than in, when I was a kid in the 80s and 90s. Nobody really, when it was Columbus Day, everybody was like, oh, cool, let's, get off school, get off work, go have fun. Nobody really looked at all the negativity that came from the horrific things that guy did. It was more about, I discovered America. Cool.
There is a motion to relabel the federally recognized holiday, Christopher Columbus Day, and I forget what it is.
Like Native American Day or something?
I mean, it's really what it boils down to, Native Americans, but it was like... But it was to change it because it was a very impactful moment in the America's history. But it's to change it because it's there and it's part of our calendar. Are you looking it up?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find it while you talk.
I'll just take a quick pause because I want to throw it in right here.
Yeah, Native Americans Day.
Oh, is it just okay? So it is a Native Americans Day.
Yeah,
as a day to, instead of recognizing the slaver who brought all these people over and destroyed the foundation of what their structure is, recognize the people who were already here.
That's fair.
So they kind of got the short end of the stick.
Literally,
I'll say.
Yeah. So number 7, Christopher Columbus. Number 6, Mother Teresa.
Oh, wow. Going to a saint.
Yeah. Yep. And that is actually one of the key things. Nobody else in our lifetimes has ever been recognized as a living saint. So she was raised to sainthood while she was alive by the Pope.
Was Mother Teresa in our lifetime?
She died in the mid-90s, yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Mid-90s or late 90s, yeah.
I'm an idiot for that, I guess. I didn't.
I mean, that's
I don't know much about her anyway.
I mean, she was... it was kind of neat to read about her a little bit for this, but she was a really humble, I think is the right word. There wasn't a lot to her because she, through her faith, kind of had ego death. It wasn't about Mother Teresa. It was, I have a reputation. Great. Well, I'm going to start this giant charity. That's, actually wrote it down. Her charity was called...
Mother Teresa Foundation. It'd be funny if it was something simple.
It was Missionaries for Charity.
I do that all the time. Oh, missionaries.
Nice. Missionary for cherries?
Hell yeah. Oh, I like that twist.
Nice. Mother Teresa just rolled over.
We're going to if there is a God and there is a hell, we got a one-way ticket there, buddy.
I mean, that foundation was okay, but nothing really beats the Clinton Foundation. I mean, that's...
Okay. All right. Down, boy. Down, sit.
Oh God,
man. No, but it's but she's one of those people that it's really impossible to understand. Maybe that's not the right word. It's impossible for us to really measure the impact that she had in the world because she just flew around the world and everywhere she went, she helped people, brought medical aid, brought the reputation of the Catholic Church, brought her saintliness, whatever that means. But there had to be a certain presence to her that's sort of...
Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't a saint have to, in the eyes of the Catholic Church, doesn't a saint have to be witnessed by another, I don't know the correct terminology, but another cardinal level equivalent inside the Catholic Church, so it's very high authority of producing a miracle? Isn't that like a qualifying factor for a saint?
I have no idea.
You have to have shown... to be the direct trigger, I guess, for a miracle to have occurred. You looking it up, Ron? How to become a saint in the Catholic Church?
Can you send me that Wikipedia article? Because I just want to add that to my resume. I just want to...
How does one become a saint? Damn, I had a sweet little... Oh, wait. There's like steps here. All right. Step 1, fill out the application. No, I'm just kidding. I'd like to apply to be a saint. Okay, fill this out, please. Press hard 3 copies. Wait 5 years or don't. I can't read this whole article.
It's fine. Is it...
Step 2, become a servant of God.
All right, that makes sense.
Step 3, show proof of a life of heroic virtue.
Okay, all right.
Step 4, verified miracles.
Oh, there it is.
Hold on, shit. I lost... Oh, guess that's it. That must be all of the steps.
So yeah, the rest of them are pretty innocuous. Yeah. The tough one is the verifiable miracle part.
To reach the next stage, beatification, a miracle needs to be attributed...
Beatification, not beautification. Beautification is a line of Avon makeup. Beatification is a process in the Catholic Church for becoming a saint.
I quit. Oh, yo.
Wonderful.
I thought Mother Teresa was hot. I mean, I was serious. A miracle needs to be attributed to prayers made to the individual after their death. So he cheated when he made her.
Okay, so maybe it was posthumous.
The prayers being granted are seen as proof that the individual is already in heaven and hence able to intercede with God on. Is it intercede? I guess so. With God on others'
He's
behalf.
nervous about reading.
Yeah, I'm like
Sorry,
reading.
Ron.
In the case of John
Today, Junior.
Okay,
Oh, God.
so she
I had never seen the word before.
It's all right. It's fine. Just,
I don't
struck
care.
It struck me funny, dude.
Trust me, it makes the show funny
It's
when
gold.
I say you guys are talking about like the smartest sciencey shit ever, and I'm talking about how beautification of Mother Teresa. What the fuck do I know? You know.
this is a fun show, guys.
Thanks for
including me.
It's a great audio piece. I'm pulling that. You have no idea.
So just to her credit, her charity is still around. You can go to motherteresa.org. You know,
Awesome.
Like any charitable organization, there is some controversy. Any
Really?
religious charity organization, there's definitely going to be people. Well, because I looked it up before I brought it up on the show. I wanted to. I mean, maybe she passed away and it just went super corrupt, and then 60% margins to their executive or something stupid like the Red Cross. I mean, what?
That's cool.
So,
Gotcha.
But it's but yeah. So number 6, Mother Teresa. So I need some water because I've been talking nonstop for 20 minutes.
Hang on. Alexa, what's the definition of beatification?
The noun edification is usually
No,
defined
it's
as
not
an act of
edification.
edifying.
I'm bad
at
googling
Oh,
things.
well, all right. Yeah, on that, we're going to take a break in studio. Alexa doesn't know what the fuck she's talking. Oh, she's blue. My name is Ron. No,
And
I'm just
I
kidding.
love Mark Zuckerberg.
The hell I do.
We'll be back.
And welcome back. It's good.
I like it just how I'm like, shut up, just as he says, welcome back.
You know,
What were they talking about?
welcome back. We had it's a good break. Welcome back to the Twisted 10. You guys ready to keep talking about?
Let's do it. You want to recap 10 through 6?
I do want to recap.
Sweet.
So my list, in case you have forgotten in the past cut of a break, 10 of history's most impactful people. So number 10, Sir Isaac Newton. Number 9 is Galileo. Number 8. Number 8 was Albert Einstein. Number 7 was Christopher Columbus. And number 6 was Mother Teresa.
Hey, do you know what the difference between Christopher Columbus and Christopher Walken is?
Hang
Man,
on.
I fucked that all up.
Hang on.
Damn it, I
How do I
completely
save
fucked that
this
up.
joke for you?
What's the
I
opposite?
have no idea.
What's the opposite of Christopher? Wait, who was Superman?
Christopher Reeve. I figured you were going somewhere
Oh
with
my
this.
goodness.
Who is the opposite? What's the opposite of Christopher Reeve? Christopher Walken. All right, forget it. I'm sorry. I
Damn.
should cut all of that
You can't
out.
even be an asshole well.
No, not tonight.
All right.
Here's the other one.
I don't have $1 to do it.
Oh, you don't? Do I?
You're the one that told me that joke like 20 years ago. We used to do it. Where did we used to go? To a place where you look like Adam.
Lido's.
Yeah,
Oh,
no.
Oh, yeah, that is Lido's. Yeah.
Yeah, in a room.
Oh, Inner Room. Yeah. Back before it was
Man,
ghetto.
is in a room still?
Does that,
open?
I was going to say, does that place even exist anymore?
Inner Room 2 doesn't. They knocked that thing down, but that's where all the pregnant strippers would go to dance. It was really weird. It's 2-for-1 special, though.
In a room 2, the Zone
Wow.
Junior.
You see what I did there?
2-for-1 special. God,
awful.
God, why did I spend any time at those
Personally,
places?
I've told you this before, Ron. I find pregnant women not
You're a
sexually
pregophile.
I wouldn't say I'm a pregophile. I find them more beautiful than women who aren't pregnant. Like the same woman, pregnant or not pregnant, I find her more attractive pregnant. Maybe it's a instinctual thing. I don't know. But
I just
I
had
like
this
that means
conversation
major-
today with my wife. Was like we were talking about like girl being pregnant or something like that, and I told her I remember like how beautiful she was when she was pregnant. Not that she's not beautiful now, but like how gorgeous I always thought she was when she was pregnant.
yeah, me too.
I don't know, just something about my wife. Not like when I just look at pregnant women, but something about my wife being pregnant. There was just something
I know. I do. I think
attractive about that.
I find all pregnant women very attractive. I don't know what it is, and it's not like a
What
sexual
about
thing.
fat guys? You find me attractive, buddy? Look at this baby right here.
Are you hormonal and are your boobs bigger than normal?
My boobs are getting bigger
yes.
every day.
You, sir, I want to bone.
My moobs. Oh, nice.
All right.
Hope you like it, Harry.
So
That's what she said.
number 5.
Number 5.
Louis Pasteur,
Ah, okay.
the father of microbiology. Are you familiar with Louis Pasteur?
Yes.
All right, cool. You're just
He's just saying that to say.
I don't.
That's how you get that there milk pasteurized from Louis Pasteur right there.
So, his discovery that of
I feel like that was a
pasteurization-
very condescending question. The way you looked at me, you're like, "Are you? Do you know who that is? You fucking moron!"
you turned and you got a little wide-eyed, and I was just
I've heard the name.
It was Ron. You do something that is true. Josh nailed it without knowing what he nailed, I think. But you get an
Story
air
of my
of
an air of confusion.
an air of overconfidence when you may be a little confused about something. Do you want to quiz him? Do we want to do it? Do we want to call him out?
Wait, yeah, call me out. I'm stupid. Let's just get it all out right now.
Louis Pasteur.
All right,
That's not
all
a good
right.
one. That's not a
Okay.
good one.
Got
So Louis Pasteur. So we, of course, in his namesake, we talk about pasteurization, but it was his accidental discovery of the concept of microbiology, which is why he changed the course of human history. When he, I want to remember the exact details of the story, but basically he made a sandwich, didn't eat it, went away for 12 hours or something. He came home and it was fuzzy. It got moldy. And unlike everybody else in the course of human history, he looked at it and said, why? And he got a microscope and he figured out that, of course, there was...
When was this, by the way? Like what years? Or what years did he live?
You know,
even?
I actually...
1600?
I didn't take it down. Yeah, I didn't... I thought...
she may know it. Alexa, when did Louis Pasteur live?
From December 27th, 1822 to September 28th, 1895.
There we go.
So yeah, mid-1800s. Man, I wonder... It was like Civil War.
We should applaud her. This is the first time she got something right. Good job, Alexa. All right.
You did it, yeah.
that wasn't just like Civil War. It was.
yeah.
The Civil War was during that time.
Hang on, 1844 to 8... No.
I thought it was in the
1863?
1860s, like 67 to 71.
Alexa, when was the Civil War?
The American Civil War started on April 12th, 1861 and ended on May 9th, 1865.
There you go.
4 years.
There you go.
Yeah. He was a young Louis Pasteur at the time, but he was still there.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
But so we, of course, owed to him pasteurization, which allowed us to keep food longer than we ever have. But it also gave us a fundamental understanding of why that worked, which then allowed us to understand things we've been doing for millennia. Salting meat. We understood why it worked, and we found better ways to take care of our meat and better way to take care of our produce, et cetera, et cetera.
Sorry.
Man,
I'm
got 12
in 8th grade mode right now,
Yeah.
and I have no idea why. My bad.
As soon as I said it, I can't take it back.
I take good
That-
care of my meat.
That one experiment, though, led to something dramatically increasing of humans' lives. Are you going to there with this?
That-
I didn't want to steal your thunder. But
Nope, no, that
all
was
right,
my
cool.
next thing. That
Okay.
was the thing,
All right, cool.
which was, of course, penicillin.
Yeah.
So he was also the first one to discover an antibiotic.
Yep.
So he brought us a dramatic extension of life, or a dramatic, maybe not extension is the right word.
Extension is 100%.
Yeah,
the average life.
extinction, yeah.
Yeah, before penicillin and before antibiotics were accidentally discovered out of mold. All right, quite literally, discovering of antibiotics were an accident. From then to after that, the length of the average human life when those became publicly, massively produced and massively available, extended 18 years longer. So instead of dying in your mid-30s, now you're dying in your mid-50s maybe, or maybe up to your 60s is the average lifetime of a man. So yeah, it's a huge improvement in the length of human lives. And that's only going to keep getting better and better and better as new discoveries are made, which is
I
awesome.
have heard it said that the person who will see 200 years old is alive right now.
That's fucking cool. You know what? I'd be willing to attest that some of this has to do with CRISPR. We were kind of talking about that before the show, Ron and I don't know if you were here yet, but we were talking about that upstairs. But yeah, dude, the medical technology that's about to go just bananas is the modification of human genomes and human DNA. That is, God, that's fascinating.
Do you think it's
gonna have
genome, or do you think it's more like mechanical, like or a combination of
biomechanical?
Yeah, like biomechanical, like hearts. Like for instance, like pacemaker. That's an example of a really dumbed down one, I guess. But
I'll answer that easily. The extension of life itself is 100% DNA based and biology based. So instead of getting a biomechanical heart or a heart that is maybe vulnerable to electrical impulses, they're just going to grow you your own heart in a petri dish out of your own DNA.
So cloning, in essence.
Basically, yeah. And then they're going to transplant your own heart. So it wouldn't even be like a heart that your body could reject. It's your own DNA, so your body wouldn't know any difference. Now, the ulterior to that, I guess in working in conjunction with something like CRISPR, is the enhancements, making you better than what your DNA has constructed you to be. So improving your vision, improving your strength, improving your metabolism, improving your functions of your liver and your kidneys,
That sounds
improving
scary.
all that.
Like talking about improving people's strength and things like that.
Already happened.
Superhumans.
It's already happened, and it was already shut down.
China, you talking about that one?
Yep. Yeah, somebody was illegally genetically modifying unborn female embryos, still in utero, but unborn. I guess that would be the same thing, but modifying them in a way with the belief that they would have an HIV resistance, which sounds awesome on the surface. Completely untested. We're crossing into human rights territory that there is no precedent.
Playing God a little bit almost.
Not
in a way.
Not a little bit.
A lot bit.
Genetically modifying humans.
What if you could make every human born from this point forward, no matter race, gender, poverty level, no matter what you've got, with an IQ of 200? Or higher. Go higher than that.
What that would do to our, like, the way it would advance our society.
You think the Industrial Revolution was a big one? The CRISPR revolution, when that actually hits, dude, that changes humanity for the rest of...
We would probably...
We'll be a new species.
Somehow we would just blow ourselves up. To the Fermi paradox.
Fermi paradox?
Yeah.
Maybe that is our great filter.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm referring to?
No idea.
How are you going to talk about the Fermi paradox and not know what the great filter is?
What do you mean by the great filter?
Another topic for another show and another time. I might bring something like that to the show.
I am subtracting 1 nerd point. I'm taking it back.
I have tons of nerd points. That's
fine.
cool.
It's just one.
Now
It's a nerd demerit, is what it is.
Josh, he lost 2 tonight. One for beautification and one for the Fermi paradox's great filter.
That's not losing a nerd point. That's gaining a moron point, is what that is.
+1 in the moron scale.
Yeah, +1. Yeah. Everybody got a little stupider after they listened to this show.
More stupid. All right.
So,
fuck off. Sorry, Josh.
No, you're good. You're good. We're gonna step into some interesting territory with the rest of the list.
Ooh, okay.
All right.
Yep. So number 4 is Charles Darwin.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Of course, accredited with the theory of evolution. I felt this would be a good time to define a scientific theory. What that means is that it's a theory that it has so much merit that they do not anticipate any altering details to ever be discovered again, like the theory of gravity.
Yeah, very true. Not a scientific law. Yeah,
exactly. Gravity is a scientific theory. We know how it works. We know where it works. We know how to measure it. We know how to manipulate it to an extent.
We just don't know why.
We have no idea why.
Yeah, we just don't understand why. There's no gravitron that they found, except for the ride that always comes on the fair, once a year.
Element
I know
117.
Damn it, you beat me to it, you motherfucker.
What happened?
Mine.
You should know Element 117.
Oh yeah, good old Element 117.
You don't know that one either. You should know. They're from the Bob Ross is the painter.
All right, he gets a moron point, loses a nerd point. No, you don't lose a
Bob
nerd point for
Bob
mentioning
Lazar.
Bob Ross.
Lazar. Yeah.
Yep.
Bob Lazar.
Yeah,
Bob Ross was that UFO guy, wasn't he? He painted some beautiful UFOs.
Well, hang on a minute.
Happy UFOs.
There is a theory Bob Ross is an alien.
Oh, my
Oh
goodness.
God.
Yeah, there's a theory. So is the gum on the bottom of my shoe. It's extraterrestrial. You can only tell by tasting it, though.
Give it a shot.
Oh, man, shoe liquor. You ever met the shoe liquor in Ybor out in Tampa?
In Ybor.
Ybor
I didn't really
City?
go partying out there very much.
I didn't even know there's Ybor City existed anymore.
Yeah.
Ybor's good in Tampa. Ybor used to be ghetto, but now it's
I thought
good.
it was good.
No,
and
I mean,
heard it
it's-
was dank.
It's still,
now.
if you go, it's 7th Ave. If you go as far as 5th or 9th Ave, it's the highest crime area in all of Tampa. It's
Yes.
still in the dead center of the hood, but 7th Avenue is one of the lowest crime areas.
It's like the Bahamas. They know not to fuck with the tourists. All right.
No.
That's what it is.
Yeah, but it's
Understood. Well, we got off track. Go ahead. Continue.
no, you're
to
good.
talk.
So Charles Darwin. So we of course owe him the theory of evolution, and without going too deep into how controversial that was and how fought that was, and I guess to an extent is still being fought today. What he did give us is an ability to think about the idea of species changing over time, just in general. So the concept of evolution, we have proven. We proved it first in a modern experiment with, I believe it was E. coli. We controlled their inputs. We had a deviation between samples where one became immune to a certain type of antibiotic and the other one did not. And so they've kept generations of the E. coli, and they went back to before the deviation and the mutation, and they recreated it. So evolution happens at the same rate, given the same environmental inputs. If you can control those things, we can recreate evolution. We actually had, this is a recent thing, very, very recent thing. I wish I could remember the type of bird it was. The bird was registered as extinct. The environment was still conducive to that species, and its origin species migrated back in, and it re-evolved to match the characteristics of the prior species.
That's almost as cool as the moth evolution study that happened in our
I haven't
lifetime.
heard the moth one.
It's there. We can look it up. Just Google.
Talk about
moth-
like the red moth, white moth,
Yeah.
or the black moth. Yeah, that
black,
was really,
black and white moth.
black
Just
and white
Google
moth, yeah.
moth evolution. Not experiment, but moth evolution evidence, and it's just an area of trees that had certain color bark, and the trees went through a change, like a metamorphosis, in the trees didn't evolve, the moths did. But out of every few 100,000 of these moths, one was mutated to be black, where all the rest of them were like gray or white.
Just coincidentally, obviously.
Yeah, just
which
natural
is how evolution works.
Yeah. And the trees in the forest changed over the short amount of time, very, very short amount of time, like over a couple of years, like 5 or 6 years. The trees changed their colors based on some of the climate change that was happening in the area. Well, the birds then could see those grayish white colored moths very easily against the backdrop of the darker colored trees now. So the birds could pick them off and eat them, but the birds could not see the black mutated moths. Now guess what? All that it lives there are black colored.
Because they were the only ones survived, because coincidentally it just happened to work out best for them. If I could stop 2 seconds and just explain how I understand how evolution works. People always have this vision of evolution of the shirts with like the monkey and then the human and everything in between. And that's absolutely not how evolution works. Evolution is just random mutations that happen to be a benefit. So then you pass those mutations on. Now, some mutations are bad and you end up killing off your species because that wasn't good for the environment or good for however you were, or survival in general. Yeah. But some mutations, like all of a sudden becoming bipedal, for instance, are good. It's a benefit to you. So now you can also walk on 2 feet on the land and climb trees. Well, guess what? You're likely to survive. That's a survival skill, if you will, a survival trait, I guess. And now you're more likely to pass that gene, that mutation on to others. And now others are like that. And it's a benefit compared to the other species that dies off because they never have that change, never have that mutation.
There are some things that are just mutations within an existing genus and species, and then there are some mutations that change the genus and species. That's always been the most controversial part. How does a fish become a human? How does a gorilla or an ape become a human Homo sapien? How does that process happen? The people who are anti evolution can see the examples of the moths changing colors. They can see
Yes.
that. They wouldn't define that as evolution, though. They would say evolution only triggers, the theory of evolution only triggers when the genus or species of that animal changes. You have to go through enough of a detrimental difference between one to the other for it to, quote unquote, evolve.
And what
it's
you
interesting.
also need, and this is very important, to have for separate species, you need separation, which is something that in the human species of Homo sapiens, which is all that's left that we're aware of, which I would imagine that's all that's left, there is no more separation. Like everybody's blended together. The likelihood that all of a sudden we're going to have this separate human species would probably only be created in a lab, for instance, like we were talking about before. But in 8 million years ago and a million years ago in Africa, I mean, it only took like a river like 30 feet wide to separate people. Like we're 200,000 years, two different groups of people or groups of Homo sapiens or whatever they happen, or Homo, I should say, whatever they happen to be.
Would have been erectus.
Yeah,
But
there was a
Homo
bunch.
erectus.
There was a whole bunch of them, but I mean, there's
There's a whole bunch of homos?
a whole bunch of homos. There's
though.
been 20 different, or plus, more than that, 20
So-
different human species, but they don't interact with each other. They don't mate with each other, and all of a sudden they are actually, after hundreds of thousands of years, separate species. Harder for that to happen now because of that lack of
I mean,
separation.
we can take a more modern example. We can talk about dogs.
Yeah, 75,000 years
are-
ago, there were no dogs.
Right. They're new. We created them. I shouldn't say we created them.
Well-
That's more intent based. But wolves that became more compliant to interacting with.
We domesticated.
Yeah,
yes.
we
domesticated
domesticated
them.
wolves, and then,
so now there are.
That is
breeds of-
100% humans' fault.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's what I say. It implied intent. They were near us and they kept other predators away. So it was a more natural domestication, I guess. We didn't do it on purpose. We just.
Yeah, I'm going to make me some dogs out of these wolves. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. So
so-
you think that the natural selection there was, natural selection is the wrong choice. But you
no,
think
I
the
would say that it
process
is
of
natural.
evolving is the mutual benefit of both parties there. The Homo sapiens or Homo erectus or whatever it was that started, Homo sapien 75,000 years ago, but started domesticating or cooperating with dogs, and the dogs benefited from being around the humans to get scraps and do whatever, and then the humans benefited by having the protection of the wolves. Okay,
So
yeah.
The only
And then we get pugs. How the fuck does that happen?
You throw them against the wall.
That's wrong.
Don't throw your dogs against the wall. Don't do that. But so you talk about. You said two things right at the beginning of your point, Ron. You said you see this chart of the transition from ape to human, but that, and you said that's not how evolution works, but that is a theory of human evolution, because we're only missing a few fossil records to show a clean transition over history using carbon-14 based dating. It's not.
Yeah, we're getting there.
But
I mean, we're
my-
getting closer.
My point with that is that shirt or that graph, I keep saying shirt, but that design showcases millions of years of this concept.
yeah.
8 million to be as exact as we know. 8 million years.
So
hobbies that each of us have, hobby studies that each of us have. You know that I like quantum stuff. I like some space stuff. I like some of that stuff on the side. Josh, you've got 100 things like porn.
yeah,
Ron,
it's an addiction. Actually.
Ron's is paleoanthropology and paleontology.
Paleoanthropology. Definitely
Cool.
something I've read every book on I can find. Just a huge, interesting. That's like when you said Darwin, I was like, what my favorite thing about Darwin, as you continue on, is what's absolutely so brilliant about him. And of course, many others have done that. Einstein is, and I'm glad you picked him, is he theorized this without any fossil records yet.
Yep.
That fossil record was just starting to kind of be discovered right after, the Origin of Species was published in 1860 something? I don't know. I could look that up.
Alexa, when was The Origin of Species published?
The Origin of Species by Charles Darwin was published on November 24th, 1859.
Damn, dude,
1859,
you're
so,
on point.
Yeah, so I was close.
And now
So-
for the Daily Double.
Yeah. So, and what was awesome about that, he just simply theorized all this. He didn't look at some bones and look at some stuff, say, oh, look, wait, we found some dinosaur fossils. Anybody who was finding dinosaur fossils or any of the kind of fossils like that at the time really weren't even aware of what they were finding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can you? I saw this popped up. I was scrolling Facebook. Can you imagine the first dude who discovered the skull of a triceratops?
He wouldn't think it was a skull. He would just think it was a rock. I mean, it's the first person that would stumble across that.
There's the first person who recognized it as
as an animal,
as in like
a creature.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
The first, and I unfortunately I wish I had the details. The details are in Bill Bryson's book. It's the short history of nearly everything.
Ding.
He
Son of a bitch.
in that book he talks about the Are you okay there, Adam?
It fell between your chair and the table. It was your vape.
He actually spoke about how the first dinosaur fossil ever discovered was also the first one lost. Like it was discovered, shoved in a warehouse somewhere, and then nobody saw it again because no one saw it as like a significant discovery. You know, at that time, people
That
just
motherfucker over there's got himself a dragon.
Just like for example, like I think it was in the early 1900s, people as they found Neanderthal bones and things like that, fossils. People like blamed it as, oh, that guy just had rickets, and the reason is his feet were bowed was from riding, or his legs were bowed from riding horses. These were the theories that people came up with.
Ignorance, man. That's all that
Like,
it comes from.
at
And
the ti-
what's
at
the
the
scary
time.
part is that we, as a society, right now, 100 to 200 years from now, will look back on us and be, man, can you believe we did that stupid shit then?
Quantum entanglement. What the
And
fuck?
and there's another book you can read about that, Seven Skeletons. It's about the 7 most important discoveries in paleoanthropology, the 7 fossils, and one of them, in a twist, is not real. Isn't that funny? One of them was made up. They took a human skull, like a human body, a dog skull, and somebody tried to say, "Look what I found!" And people were like, fell for it. It wasn't discovered till like 30 years later that it was fake.
No shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna reevaluate something I said earlier. Ross.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
I guess
yeah, good call.
I guess that does make me Ross a little bit. All right, enough geeking out on paleoanthropology.
One more thing before you
but thanks
jump
for bringing up
before
that.
you jump to the next one.
All right.
There is a theory right now that humans have hit their end of evolution. That doesn't mean it's the end of humans or Homo sapiens as we know them now. That just means that the next progression or evolution of man will come from man himself, i.e., CRISPR and what people are starting to learn they can do with CRISPR and editing of DNA and editing of humans' genomes. That's fucking fascinating to me.
All right. So that was Charles Darwin.
That's a good one.
So I didn't mean to take it. My bad. I hope I didn't like take it over.
Did mean to.
I didn't mean to.
I
take
hope
it
that you
over.
meant to, because if you did all of that without meaning to, you need to talk to somebody.
Oh, okay, my bad. I meant to take that over. I felt like you needed some help with that one.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. I like learning things.
Josh makes his twisted 10 and says, all right, what are Ron and Adam into? That way I can throw shit out and they can just talk the whole episode.
Nice.
Please fill the dead air that I can't.
That was fun. I like that one.
All right, number 3. Abraham Lincoln.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
So, at the beginning of the show, I said that there are some things that are going to have caveats to them. This is one of them. The world has changed because the U.S. made it through the Civil War in the way that we did. So right or wrong,
Wow, that's a profound statement.
because it was. And he was the president that got us through the Civil War. He was the one, and I've never really researched Abraham Lincoln and the stuff that he did other than, of course, like the Gettysburg Address and the Emancipation Proclamation. But he did a lot. Like during the Civil War, the British tried really hard to intercede, and he fought them off politically. Spain, I believe it was. Maybe, I forget the other country. Same thing. They tried to intercede on the Civil War, and he politically held them off. When the war ended, it's of course, it makes sense to say it out loud, but racism didn't go away.
Right.
You think?
So the biggest thing, and we talk about the Civil War as if it was about slavery, and it wasn't. They weren't fighting over whether or not the lives of the Africans were valuable.
Right.
That wasn't the fight.
That was
during
just
the
like
Civil-
a platform of a side, right?
It's not that it was a platform. It's that they were, and I hate to say this, but it really was. They were fought over like beasts of burden, and Again, that's like super offensive, but
Should we
it's a different time.
be talking about this?
No, no, no,
No, I'm
it's
just
fine.
kidding.
so it was 150 years ago.
Yeah, it's a
those
different
people
time.
were
It's-
super racist and they were awful.
Yes.
Now-
But the society dictates actions of people at the time, so it was completely treated differently at that time.
Agreed.
So it's it doesn't justify it by any stretch of the imagination. However, you have to understand when discussing those types of things, not everybody that was in support of slavery were bad guys. I'm not ever going to say that phrase again in my life. I recant that completely. But you get what I'm saying. It's just a different time.
Yeah. So what the Civil War was really fought over was free enterprise. That's what we were fighting over in the Civil War, was the government interceding on how people were allowed to do business. That was the big dispute at the center of it. Now, of course, the life factor of it, again, to use the term, they were fought over like beasts of burden. He wasn't trying to. The North and Abraham Lincoln's platform was to free slaves, but he did not free them in a way that gave them equality.
No,
he couldn't.
Not complete.
He couldn't.
Yeah, he couldn't get that done.
There was no way that he could have, given the climate back then. But he gave them the first steps towards freedom and the first steps towards equality. But I say all of that because afterwards, when he was still in office, the war had kind of ended and he hadn't been shot yet. He was at trial, at debate almost every single day, defining precedent for how the U.S. economy would be determined and what sort of regulation it was going to have and what sort of regulation it was not going to have. So much of the Civil War is really about economic decisions and how much say the government really had in it.
Huh. Okay.
So the idea of freeing slaves to the South was a bottom line problem. It wasn't an entitlement problem. I mean, yes, they felt entitled over those lives, but the problem was, you're taking away my free labor force, ergo destroying my bottom line. Get out of my business, big government. We fought off the British for this reason. A very different stance.
That is an interesting take.
Yeah.
I've never really, I'm not a history buff on stuff like that, but I've never really considered, I've always just assumed a lot of it had to do with the motives behind slavery. I'd never really considered it was big business, big government versus
I fell
stay
down
the fuck out of my business
I
government.
fell down a deep rabbit hole on this one because I had never come across that perspective
So,
either.
question for you. What is your sourcing on this? Is this your perspective on what you read? Is this just your opinion? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to understand this point of view, and I'm trying to understand, is it a point of view, or is it just fact and I've been wrong this whole time?
I don't think you've been wrong. I mean, the fight over human life was a big portion of the Civil War, but it wasn't the only thing. We weren't fighting over slavery. That's my point. Like, we were fighting to free slaves, as the North was, but the fight was over government intercession in free enterprise.
That almost sounds to me
Government
like,
won in that case.
No, that almost sounds to me like a rebel bullshit line for the Civil War, like some kind of effed up conspiracy theory. That to me, in my mind, that's what it sounds like.
Literally no way to contest what you just said. So.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's kind of what it sounds like. I say we weren't fighting over slaves. We were fighting over free enterprise. Just like when people have a rebel flag, when they have a rebel flag, they say that's pride, not prejudice. I don't know about that. You know what I mean? It's almost what it sounds like. And I will not say that it's right or wrong. That's why I was asking how you came to this conclusion or this thought process.
So in this case, let's use the $15 an hour debate that had been talked about so
Bernie
much.
Sanders? Yeah.
Well, what? I had nothing to do with Bernie Sanders.
You said $15 an hour. You mean the minimum
That's not
wage?
just Bernie Sanders, though.
But he's the one been saying that for years and years.
Down
and
boy,
years.
sit.
Copy.
He has been the one who has mostly propagated that.
Libtard alert. Libtard alert.
Yeah, dude.
No, I'm not libtard. He's not even a Democrat. I'm just giving you the information.
What I'm saying is the debate between the government's enforcement of a minimum wage being that high versus what it's been, which is $8.25 or whatever the hell it is.
Yes.
So in this case, the minimum wage standard that is being discussed and fought over would be the slaves. So it was the bystander but of what the actual debate is. So the battle was between over whether or not the government could enforce whatever this rule is. The rule in that case happened to be slaves. All right, so yes, shitty situation that rule or that allowance that was being contested was slaves, but it was really more so of whether or not big government could come down and tell the owner what they can.
It almost
and can't
sounds
do.
like more we're talking about like government versus states' rights. What can the big government tell the states they can and can't do?
Nope.
It almost sounds to me. It sounds like the South is saying they want free enterprise, they want slavery, they want all these things, and the big government is saying, yes, you have rights to choose things, but not if it goes against what is actually
Human
U.S.
rights.
law. And none of that actually got solved until I think it was like Article 14, like of the Constitution, where they said, yes, the states have their own rights, but they still have to follow the law of the United States as well. They can't perpetrate illegal things. Shit, that's still happening now.
Federally mandated versus state mandated.
Marijuana is still federally illegal, but look at all the states. They're even making it for
That'd be
recreational
the worst
use.
fight ever. A bunch of stoners against a bunch of law enforcement who
But
wants to keep it illegal.
What
They
I'm
would
saying
lose.
is that fight still lives on in stuff today, where you see that battle. It's almost a little bit of what it
you
sounds
just defined it. What Josh is saying, though, in this situation, is that the slavery wasn't the reason for the war. It was the
concept of free enterprise,
the
and-
bystander in the war.
what we can do, what we want to do and feel we should be able to do versus what you guys tell us we should do. And
Correct.
probably the big point of that was slavery, but it wasn't the only thing they were fighting over.
So, Josh, you at the beginning of the
that makes
show-
absolute good sense. And you said we would learn something.
At the beginning of the show, you did kind of point out that you were more left and more less government leaning. So in the situation to compare to, you would be more pro-slavery given the time. Not putting words in your mouth, obviously. I know you're never going to be a pro-slavery type of person, but I'm drawing the analogy. Being less government in my lives means you would have chosen the
now
other
that
side.
you've drawn a parallel between me and supporting slavery.
Sorry.
Thank you, asshole. I'll defend that.
Yeah.
No, my stance is smaller government is great. The only time state or federal government should intercede is when it is detrimentally between two people.
A human rights violation type issue?
Yep.
Yeah, 100% agree.
You walk up and punch me in the face, I believe I should have a way to recourse that. That's part of a society. But if I want to grow weed in my basement and sell it for $5 a bag, it's not
$5 a bag?
That's
Wait a
not,
moment,
but
let me
that's my
check
point.
my wallet real
But like
quick.
but it's not anybody's business, right? Like that's my point. Like if I want to go through the time and teach myself how to grow those things and cultivate them and sell them on my front step, then there's no reason why that should be illegal, in my opinion. And that goes. You pick any drug, and the thing is, like, things are wildly addictive and they cause problems for people, but they made a choice in the beginning, and that was their choice. We should have ways to help them, but
All right.
like
I see that.
making cocaine illegal doesn't do anything. If you're gonna go and do cocaine, it doesn't matter if it's illegal or not. It's harder to get, sure, but maybe if it was completely illegal and we had time, maybe we'd have safe cocaine. I don't know. Who knows?
Ron told me this. I don't like cocaine at all. I just like how it smells. It smells good.
Ron told me this. Nice.
You like how I deflected that?
Yeah, that was beautiful.
So anyways, we went pretty far off the rails, but because we have a social obligation to say this,
That should be the name of the show. Way off the
It
rails.
took me a second. Who was the
None
person
of-
we were talking about?
none of us
Abraham Lincoln.
support slavery. I'm glad the North won. Don't sue us.
Yay, big government.
I used some really questionable terms, but that's because that is how they were fighting the war back then.
You incited
And I
conversation.
thought-
That's what this is all about. You
One
incited
other thing that I
conversation.
thought was interesting, just the switch of political thought process, I guess, was back then it was the Republicans that were all about, okay,
Stop.
free the slaves, and it was the Democrats were like, no, we want to keep the slaves.
Technically,
Which
that's
is just
true.
interesting, and it didn't really kind of switch perspectives more until like the civil rights time of
Yeah.
the 60s.
Yeah, 60s.
I mean, it took almost 100 years to kind of make that like interesting transition.
Yeah.
The leading political party for the South was the Copperhead Party.
Ah, nice. The
It
Copperheads.
was not
What about
any currently named party
What about
that you tried to tie in.
No, that's
platform.
actually not correct. There were the Southern Democrats were huge
Oh my god!
back then. Yes, they were.
Oh, do
my
it.
god!
You should go.
Shall we wait a minute?
No, this bell is now being used. Round 1. wait, no, it's 2. No.
Okay, continue on.
Ron's like, I'm going to find where I am right.
I
I do agree with him partially though. The platform stance has flipped literally for the what has typically been the Democratic leaning side and the Republican leaning side have flipped in like early 60s, late 50s, something like that.
My point is the strongest political opposition that Abraham Lincoln had was the Copperhead Party.
those damn
Copperhead.
I'm not saying that the Democratic Party or the Republican Party or the Gadsden Party or the fucking Clown Hat Party didn't exist.
Clown Hat Party. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's the party I want to be at.
The insane clown posse party.
What the fuck are magnets and what do they do?
It's a good point, though. We don't know how magnetism works.
We don't still?
Actually, we do. Magnetism.
We do with metal. That's about all you need to know. Did you know if you took a magnet and threw it at a copper block, the magnet wouldn't touch it?
I was looking up something. I'm not paying attention to you.
Ron
So you need to be talking to Josh
He's still
right now.
trying to win the last
I'm
conversation.
not trying to win. If I'm wrong, I want to know. I mean, I think you guys by now know that I'm a bit of a right fighter, but when I find out I'm wrong, I'm like, sweet, I learned something. Now I don't sound like an idiot anymore. I don't have to hear Josh go, oh my God. Like he just did like 2 minutes ago.
It's fine. So, anyways, what does that have to do with Bernie Sanders?
He said the $15 minimum wage. That's what.
Just poke. Just a little bit of poking.
Dude, it doesn't bother me though. I enjoy it.
All right.
I like getting.
So Abraham
I
Lincoln.
like getting poked.
So Abraham Lincoln, that was number 3. Number 2.
Oh boy. Roe versus Wade. No, I'm just kidding.
Hitler.
Yeah.
Yes.
Didn't you say number 2 Hitler?
He's joking. He's completely joking.
Hitler.
No, did you?
Are you
said
fucking
number 2
kidding me?
Hitler. Nice.
Hitler's
So one of the most influential people of all time, Hitler
of-
actually made your list.
one
And I
of
even
the-
called it number 2.
You did.
Yeah,
earlier.
I just
one
said
of the
that.
most
You said that.
impactful.
Oh, okay. Impactful. All right. Copy that.
So we don't need to go into how evil of a man he was and how awful the things were that the Nazi Party did. That's not necessary. But I am going to share some very unpopular things about the Nazi Party from World War II.
All right.
Okay. So mass genocide, it's awful. I even wrote the number down just to do those victims their due credit when you talk about World War II. The average estimate of the loss of life from World War II is 69 million people with death tolls ranging from 55 to 89 million, I believe, were the numbers.
And
But
that's from battle and from
that's
genocide?
civilians, that's military, that's
Okay.
all sides of the conflict, that's collateral damage, that's everything.
Jesus.
That is 14.5 million more deaths than the closest known loss of life from a war. 14.5 million people, more people died in World War II at the hands of the Nazi Party.
Jesus.
Now, impactful. Obviously, in a very negative way, we will be talking about Hitler and the Nazi Party for hundreds of years. The entire world will be because of, until there's a greater catastrophe than World War II, it's the worst thing that's ever happened to humanity.
There never is.
Unfortunately, it would have to be some sort of nuclear holocaust at this point
that would be likely.
to even come close to rattling the numbers that were achieved during the battles for World War II.
So like that's the 14 million is just at the hands of the Nazis. What about
total both sides.
Oh, that's total both sides.
Or, well,
that
all
includes
sides.
69 million, and that's everybody.
That's everybody. That
civilians,
includes
that's
Japan.
Axis,
That includes
that's
us like
Allied.
nuking Japan, everything.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
That is where that number comes in.
Which that's ironically only when we dropped the 2 nukes. Did you know there were supposed to be 3? Another topic.
I had heard that before. I forgot.
Third one was a dud. The nuclear or stopped. I think they didn't release it or something. I don't know. Whatever. The total number was only like 450,000. I know that's a lot of people. Don't ever think that I'm saying that that's not a lot and that's not devastating. However, when you consider the massive amount, 69 million on all sides died when whatever 500,000 out of that 69 million is considered, that's really a small number.
You would think, because when you think about dropping 2 nuclear bombs, you think you're going to wipe out millions of people. But I mean, this was the 40s. I bet you if you drop 2 nuclear bombs with the advancements they have now, you would wipe out millions.
Yeah.
Like North Korea could launch on Seoul, South Korea, and kill 25 million people.
That wouldn't even have to
in,
be
minutes.
nukes, though. That wouldn't even have to be nukes. That
Like-
could just be regular.
Yeah, but they're not going to kill
artillery.
25 million people unless they nuke.
No, that's not true. In Seoul, we couldn't interdict that. That's another topic too. The U.S.
We
could
got
not.
a lot of other topics going on here.
We could not intervene with irrelevant, nuclear or non-nuclear. You got to also understand how ballistic missiles would come up then back down for, especially ICBMs, intercontinental or anything like that. But anyway, the weaponry and the proximity to for Seoul, South Korea, to the North Korean border,
Yes.
is so close that it would be literally impossible. And the population of Seoul is so big, it would not take nuclear warfare to kill 25 million people.
Yeah, they could level Seoul
Interesting.
before we could get there.
We're already there. We're at the border.
We don't have enough. That's
We don't.
I
have a
just don't know
military
what kind of.
presence
I
in
don't know
Seoul.
what kind of anti like missile defense we have there. Like I don't know what we have.
wow.
I don't know what is exactly there or not there.
Even
I
if-
know that.
I don't know what we have there for defense, but the people who do know what we have there are saying this. I'm going to argue.
Okay, I believe you. But Democrats were the racists. Oh,
Man.
sorry.
That's funny. Did you look it up and find it?
No, I haven't found it. I was trying to find a list of the votes, and I just was gonna like kind of scan through and see.
He got distracted by Bernie Sanders links.
No, I totally did. No, I actually got distracted by the next topic. I didn't want to be rude and be like still trying to just right fight when I wanted to hear.
You know what that means, Josh? Tonight at about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning,
You'll get something.
our Telegram apps are going to be blowing up. See this, and here's this, and here's this. Well, you know this happened, and then
Or
this
I'll
happened.
just say you were right. I was wrong.
And then I'll just be like, "You're right. They did exist." Anyways, it doesn't matter.
Argue him the other way, flip it
Hitler,
on him?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I was just fucking
so,
with you. I made up the Copperhead Party.
So,
Sorry, I'm
no,
sorry.
you're good. So now that we have fulfilled our obligation to recognize just how catastrophic and awful everything was that the Nazi Party did, there are also some pieces through their evil acts that we actually advanced as a people.
Okay.
Our medical science and our loosely related biochemical science. So, for example, it's a very negative thing, but the Nazis invented meth. They invented it and they gave it to their soldiers. You get tired? Eat some meth.
Hit this.
There you go.
It's great.
No, really, it's like if you find guns from World War II, you have to clean the inside of the buttstock because they were issued a rifle and meth. There's a storage compartment for meth in a World War II Nazi rifle in the buttstock.
That is awesome.
So that's things like that. So the way things impacted the body through horrible, awful human experimentation, we learned immense amounts about the human psyche, what the human brain is capable of, what the human body can take. I mean, as an example of that, the Nazis, there's a video of it, please tread lightly, where they did a head transplant of a monkey successfully. They transplanted the monkey's head onto a new body. It came to, and it screamed for a few minutes, which meant all of the pieces to scream, diaphragm, lungs, all of that, were working. And then they euthanized the monkey because there's no way that it would ever peacefully live with this new body that it was
Didn't
given.
they also do the dog head? Didn't they kept a dog's head alive off of its body for like 3 days, which is the saddest thing I've ever heard.
believe that, but I hadn't heard that one in particular.
depressing.
So that's what I'm saying. Like these are like awful things that they did, but through they pushed boundaries of ethics that no one had ever
Oh, not pushed. They destroyed those boundaries.
Pushed,
They didn't just push
destroyed,
them. Yeah.
walked past.
This isn't skirting the
ethical,
line. This
ethical
is
boundaries that no one would ever go past. But because of what they did and what we found from what they did, we have been able to make massive advances in medical science.
Yeah, this is a similar story. So a lot of the people that are anti-animal testing for products like shampoos or food consumables by the American people or the worldwide people, a lot of the companies now won't do new animal testing, What they will do, though, is they'll use cited animal testing in the history with chemicals and agents that had been used in the past to progress their products forward. And that is like sort of okay. Some like PETA folks and pro animal rights folks are against that. And some of them are like, cool, that's the right way to do it. It's already been done. You can't do anything about that, but you have learned from those examples. So,
you know who was a big, huge pro animal rights activist or big person who was big animal rights?
Do you feel the burn?
No. Hit. Believe it or not, and you can look this up, Google it if you'd like.
I know where you're going.
Hitler.
Yeah.
Hitler was. That's so weird that he was, and yet they did all these sick-ass experiments with monkey heads and dog heads.
Yeah, he had a social program for helping the homeless.
He didn't care much about Jewish people, but he sure was worried about the cats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, and I mean, we're obligated to say it, but it was an awful time. Of course, none of us.
Are you only saying it because you're obligated?
No, I mean,
no,
it's
that's what you're saying.
Could you imagine?
It goes without saying.
It should go without saying, but we live in the most litigious society of all time, so I'll just say it out loud, just for posterity.
Well, I mean, shit. Just to expand. I know you're probably ready to go to number one, but just to expand, my reference earlier for Werner von Braun, known Nazi, and then those, that information was classified, then declassified at a later point for his affiliations with the Nazi Party. So one of the people that put our Atlas V rocket and men on the moon from American soil, former Nazi.
Same thing, yeah. Jack Parsons, man.
Yeah.
Former Nazi.
I mean, there's advantageous things that came out of that party, for sure, out of that political alignment, for sure. More bad than good, but yeah.
Lots of great movies, too.
But definitely massive amounts of impact for the foreseeable future of humanity. They will at least be an antidote for the next several hundred years.
I just wish that coward would have died the way they killed him in Inglourious Bastards, as opposed to taking his own life. I wish he would have gone out with getting face stomped and AK'd to the face. Oh, that would have been great.
Yeah, that was
great flick.
Great
that was
great
a good
flick.
Movie. That was a good movie.
God, I love Tarantino.
All right, so you guys ready for number one?
Let's do it.
I am.
All right, so real quick.
Jesus.
Number 10, Sir Isaac Newton.
Jesus. That's a good one, though. He was a real person. I'm sorry.
Number 9, Galileo. Number 8,
Figaro.
We just looked at each other.
Number 8, Albert Einstein. Number 7, Christopher Columbus. Number 6, Mother Teresa. Number 5, Louis Pasteur. Number 4, Charles Darwin. Number 3, Abraham Lincoln. Number 2, Adolf Hitler. Number 1, Jesus Christ.
Yes!
100%, yeah.
Is it real?
Yes!
Yeah, 100%.
Dude, you are on fire!
I guess number 2 and number 1.
Before anybody says anything else,
It's
whether
right.
you believe that he exists as a martyr, whether you believe that he exists historically, whether you believe that he never existed at all and he was made up as a figment of the religion, it does not matter. That name, that persona, that person has done more for the human race than any other name in known history. Hands down. Billions of people have been guided to live a better, more morally aligned life because of the beliefs that were laid under his name. Wars have been fought over that name.
Tons of them.
Tons of them, yeah. Good and bad. The Crusades, whatever. But that name has touched more lives than any other name in history that I could find.
I agree. When you said Jesus, I was like, it almost has to be there. I didn't actually think it was going to be.
I didn't think it was going to be there either. That's funny.
But that's 100%. There's like no, I don't know how anyone could argue what he just said.
Yeah,
I mean, he nailed it.
Yeah, that's a perfect recap.
That was probably a bad form of expression to talk about Jesus.
Insensitive, Ron.
He nailed it. That was so bad. God,
it just clicked.
I'm getting in trouble for that one. Sorry.
So Christianity, in all of its denominations, be it any of the extensions of Christianity, is that more prevalent in the history of the last 2,000 years or so than Buddhism, than Islam, than any of the other key and top worldwide recognized religions?
I would say yes.
I would too, but I don't. I mean, that's more of a rhetorical question, I guess. I guess the question would be, I wonder how close and
are there other prominent religious figures? Certainly, Muhammad.
Sure, yeah.
Muhammad the Prophet.
Absolutely.
I mean, he founded Islam.
But even Jesus is in the Quran. They speak of him
and vice versa.
As a prophet.
There is a really cool conspiracy
kind of
theory.
equal to Muhammad.
I think I told this to Josh before. There's a really cool conspiracy theory. In the Bible, there was a time when Jesus left to go on a pilgrimage or something, a private little adventure. Adventure is the wrong choice of words. You know what I mean. He left his followers for several years. Well, in some theoretical conspiracy circles, that was the time of the arrival of Muhammad. So there's people that say those two are the same person. It's very interesting. Now, I know that there's a bunch of Christian and a bunch of Islamic or whatever that are, going to fucking damn my name for saying that. However, that's what, I don't believe it, but that's what some conspiracy people out there do believe. It's kind of cool.
Why not believe it? I mean, why is it any less...
the timing is off.
The timing is off? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know enough.
I think we're touching into a territory we don't want to on this show.
I just don't know enough about other world religions to even
like 400
really
or 600
comment.
years difference.
Oh,
but
okay. That's a pretty big gap.
Well, yeah, but that's assuming that the clock's set to the history that has been written by the victors is correct.
Why do we think, and when did it happen, that Jesus, how we portray him in paintings and stuff, is like an Anglo-Saxon person and not of someone who would actually look like people who would have come from that
I'm going to say it again.
I
think we're touching on to...
It's just a question. I mean...
is God real is also just a question, but it's not right for this show.
But I didn't ask that question. I asked, why does God look white?
My answer to that, same reason that Santa Claus looks the way he does now, marketing. It's more marketable to the palate of people that are consuming the product.
I'm going to just go with what Josh said. We shouldn't be talking about this.
I tried. I tried, but it's
Thanks, Adam.
I just think that that's, in my experience and everything that I've read, I've been all over the world. Even people from I can't remember where they were from. The TCNs that we had when we were in Afghanistan, the group of Buddhists that we worked with.
Titusville. The group of Buddhists that we work for at
when we were in Afghanistan, but they were the TCNs we had, the third country nationals.
Nepalese.
Thank you. The Nepalese. Even the Nepalese.
You're talking about shawarmas? No, not shawarmas. What are they called? There was a term for them that the local that the Americans in the country called them. Shawarmas is a sandwich, I think.
It is. Shawarma is a sandwich.
Yes. That's a bad. Oh, what were they called?
I don't know. The TCNs is third country nationals is all it meant. We were in Afghanistan as Americans, and they were the third country.
They had a term for them, like badasses, or it was their.
Oh, the.
You know what I'm trying to say.
God,
it's like the people who you would like get escorted up a mountain. Sherpas, yes, Sherpas. That's it.
Yeah, Sherpas are badass.
Shawarmas. I was close, but one's a sandwich and one is a badass.
And was beautification and beatification are really close too.
Why didn't you call me out on it then?
God,
bitch.
I was just taking my licks for sounding like a moron, as you should right now. It was just shawarmas.
But I corrected myself, buddy.
That's true. That's true. I didn't get a chance to. You were laughing crazily before I could think about it. Before I could look at the word and realize, wait a minute, that's not beautification.
If we had to wait for Ron to think about it, we would have been done with this episode.
This is true.
Clearly before it was gonna.
Yeah.
We're at 2 hours, boys.
Yeah, this has been fantastic. I know you're not done yet, but this has been a fantastic freaking list.
Is there a 0?
There's no 0.
Is there any? Well, are you done with Jesus? That did not come out right.
I found that's the sound intro bite right there. On this show, what do Jesus, Hitler, and Einstein have in common? Find out on this episode of the
Any honorable mentions? So we can move on. Hey, you brought it up. You had to know that, morons like me aren't going to be able to just, oh, that's very interesting, Josh, and move on. I'm going to say stupid shit. I mean, it's just going to happen.
I don't know. You nailed the paleoanthropology lessons that we had done today's show pretty damn well.
Yeah, I finally had something I knew. Oh, wait.
Paleoanthropology.
I know some stuff about that.
Ron sees the one clue on Jeopardy on the board. He's like, oh, I want that list right there.
Yes,
that's my column.
Any honorable mentions or any other names? I'm sure you came across names that you considered.
there was a whole body of scientists for all of the same reasons. If they changed a fundamental understanding of the world, they had an impact on humanity forever. But
You don't really remember now?
I'm trying to come up with. I did this like a week ago.
No, it's cool. I was just so there were other names you considered,
Yeah,
but nothing came close to this top 10.
Definitely. I mean, there were a lot of religious names. Another good name that came up was Gandhi, the father of India.
Yeah, I was thinking about Gandhi.
The title "Father
When
of
you
India."
said Mother Teresa, I thought about Gandhi.
And definitely along the same vein, he united India. I read about him a little bit. He united India. His birthday is like October 8th or something. But his birthday is like celebrated as a national day of no conflict. His air of peacefulness and his preaching of peaceful deliberation to solve problems led to a day where wars stopped. They would have a 1-day armistice where they just stopped. Just out of respect for him. Both sides. Just respect for his stance. Of course, speaking internally, foreigners don't care. They'll just continue to attack because they're not fighting back. But
Yeah.
so
Interesting.
Gandhi definitely came up on there. The Buddha came up because he's been around. His name has been around. His story has been around for so long. Same thing. He's impacted people. He's created a theology of peace, or he didn't. A theology of peace was created around his story.
You could almost say any of the any of the fathers of scientific principles could be in there. Any of the founders of, their own research into their sciences would qualify for that. So think any of your topical sciences, medical, paleoanthropology, the space, cosmology. I almost did it. I technically did it.
You kind of did it.
Yeah, I can't help that. It's
Cosmetology.
Andrea Joy is a cosmetologist.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Another good one that was going to go on the list was Alexander the Great, because he, during his reign, took over. I mean, pretty much the entire known world as far as the Romans were
2/3 of the
concerned.
planet. Yeah, something like that.
So he definitely had. But see, the thing about Alexander the Great is that while he did have a very, very vast empire credited to his name, the way that he did it, he would show up and he would say, practice whatever you want to practice. Live however you want to live. When we need help as Romans, you're Romans. Otherwise, do your own thing. And then he left. There were sections of the Roman Empire that he went through and conquered and then left and never went back.
It's almost like he conquered them politically.
Yeah.
As opposed to
100%.
actually wiping them out.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. They were the world's, the greatest known fighting force of the world. But so I put him on the, I had him on the list originally. I took him off. Other than us saying his name, he didn't, other than having an entry in the history book for a large empire, he himself changed a lot. His reign led to some things, concrete, roads, aqueducts. Those all happened during his reign. But those were engineers under his reign. So like him himself.
That makes sense.
So, right. I mean, so I stuck with a lot of individuals who had accomplishment, but I mean, honorable mention. Of course, there are.
How many on that list? I mean, Abraham Lincoln, obviously, were from the United States. Now, it makes sense it wouldn't be a lot because you did world history, and the United States is a fairly, 243 years old or something officially.
It's like two, I think.
Let's see. Isaac Newton, Galileo, Einstein. So here we go.
Einstein technically
Let's see.
wasn't from the United States, but he came to U.S.
Yeah, he
citizen
came,
later.
Italian, German, Spanish, Italian, French. Where's Charles Darwin from? Was he British?
Oh, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, I should know that.
Okay, English, Abraham Lincoln, Hitler, and Jesus. There's one American on the list.
It's interesting if you did a top 10 of just U.S., Lincoln obviously would be at the top of that list. He's the only one that made the world history one. It's like trying to think about who else. Like
If I had to do just U.S.,
Martin Luther King,
Thomas Jefferson,
because
he was the first person who said out loud, we should have a congressional meeting on self-governance. He started it.
We'll save that for another show.
yes. I was just
Pretty good.
thinking. Be interesting.
Yep.
All right, whose show is it next week, boys?
I believe that's me, but not next week
yeah.
because next week is the Super Bowl and I won't
Oh,
be here.
well.
Unless you guys want to do it on a weekday, like before or after this Sunday.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Because my
We can talk about that
My
in
weeks have been pretty
Telegram.
damn stressful. So
No, I
maybe,
know they have. so.
Maybe not. I'll let you know.
No, that's fine. I'm just
we can chat
asking,
about it.
as an option to record without
Do you have
kind of missing a week.
Do you have a teaser for what your show might be?
No teaser.
All right.
No teaser. I have a list of stuff. I have a list of lists, but I haven't chosen which
Your
one I'll
list
do
is
yet.
going to be the top 10 lists that Ron's going to do this
top
year.
10 list. I actually, it's kind of interesting. I never thought about this. Josh had mentioned even doing a bottom 10 list of some kind, and I was like, I never thought about doing a bottom 10 list before. That sounds like I might try and.
List of the best bottoms in the industry.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Kim Kardashian. Okay. But
Enough booty for two.
Iggy Azalea. I'm sorry. That's
Iggy too.
Whew, you could stack books on that thing.
Beyonce.
I don't know. Has Iggy Azalea ever won the Miss Bum Bum title?
I don't know what that is, but my YouTube is going to know shortly.
That is,
Your YouPorn's gonna know.
it is the title for the best butt in the world. It's Miss Bum Bum. I learned that on the Chive.
Does somebody get every year, or you just get it
It's an annual
until
thing.
your butt just deflates
an
and
anal
say
thing.
have to get somebody else?
It's an anal thing,
It's
yeah.
an anal thing.
All right. You guys ready to get out of here? Josh, awesome.
Awesome job, Josh.
This is some good scotch. Yeah, this is very good scotch. It doesn't even come close to your impersonations of what's his name? Scotch. Who are we talking about here? Come on, help me out. You did an impersonation of him way back in the day during their very first episodes of Living Podcasters.
Oh, Sean Connery.
Sean Connery. Yes, this
those
is
are
scotch.
Those are the dark episodes.
Oh, those are definitely dark.
That's the dark days of podcasting.
No, those don't exist. Right?
No, they're
not out anywhere.
Not available anywhere.
Not available even in stores.
Yeah, that's.
Yep.
All right. Anyway, let's get the hell out of here. Thank you guys, Josh. Again, awesome list.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
and-
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, hell yeah. I learned a hell of a lot tonight. Had a lot of fun doing it. So if you like the Twisted 10 podcast, be sure to share it. Give us a 5-star rating and review on whatever the hell platform you like to listen to us on. Google's has a review system. Apple, iTunes, obviously. Whatever the new Apple system is that they're coming out with. I guess it's not just iTunes.
I
but
also accept groupie blowjobs. I'll throw it out there.
groupie
Yeah,
blowjobs.
I'll take some groupie
Can you
blowjobs.
get those through Venmo? Okay.
Yeah. I'll try.
you can add a tip.
Just
Just the tip? Okay.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, for listening, and enjoy your week. On behalf of the Twisted 10, I'm Adam.
I'm Josh.
I don't believe in ghosts, but I've seen my share. And this was Ron.
We'll see you guys next week. Want to interact with the hosts and other listeners of the Twisted 10? Simply go to twisted10.com and click on the Discord invitation.